Xiao Yan activated the Xiao clan's clan mark during the battle, intimidating and driving back a half-Do-Sheng powerhouse. Continuing from the previous chapter, as everyone arrived at the third level of the heavenly tomb and gazed around with joy, the feeling of survival after a catastrophe allowed everyone to let out a deep sigh of relief. However, just as everyone began to let their guard down, a violent roar suddenly erupted from the huge light curtain that led to the sky behind them. This unexpected event made Xiao Yan and the others alert, and they quickly retreated. Within the crystal wall passage that had been forcefully opened, waves of snow white surging like thunder rushed towards Xiao Yan and the others like lightning. They were the ancient devouring insects. They were coming. Witnessing this scene, the faces of Gu Qingyang and others changed dramatically, and they hastily retreated. The white waves rolled in, but just as these ancient devouring insects broke through the energy crystal wall, their wings that were about to take flight suddenly stopped. Then, in the horrified gaze of the onlookers, they suddenly turned into a pile of white powder. In the following minute, the ancient devouring insects continued to rush out of the passage without regard for their lives. But once they broke through the light curtain more than a length away, they seemed to be obstructed by some mysterious force and quietly exploded into white powder. Over time, these powders accumulated several meters deep in front of the energy light curtain. What were these ancient devouring insects doing? Did they not want us to escape? Someone said with a wry smile. As everyone fell into deep thought, Xiao Yan's heart slightly moved, and he touched the storage ring on his hand. Could this be related to what he had captured within the crystal wall? After the ancient devouring insects had been attacking like this for nearly 10 minutes, they finally chose to give up. "Let's go," Gu Qingyang said, shaking his head as he saw the ancient devouring insects retreat back into the crystal wall. Xiao Yan came to his senses and suddenly turned his head to look around, his brow immediately furrowing, because he noticed that while everyone was shocked by the crazy suicide of the ancient devouring insects, the two from the Soul Cliff had already quietly escaped. "These two guys are still sly," Sooner said, noticing the disappearance of the two, her willow eyebrows slightly knitted. "Haha, brother Xiao Yan, we really owe you this time. Now that we have reached the third level, the two of us will not stay here for long," Huaxian said with a smile, clasping his fist towards Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan smiled back and said, "I wish brother Huaxian a smooth journey." Following Huaxian, the others also said goodbye and left one after another. In just a few minutes, there were almost no people left here, leaving only Xiao Yan and his group on the spot. "Sooner, where are you planning to go?" Gu Qingyang asked, looking at Xiao Yan and the other. Sooner said, "The place we are going to, brother Qingyang, don't you know?" Gu Qingyang helplessly shook his head, then turned to Xiao Yan. "Are you really going to Xiao Xin's tomb? There might be an energy body of the Do-Sheng level there. If you encounter it, it will be a death sentence." Xiao Yan nodded and said, "I know." Seeing that he had no intention of backing down, Gu Qingyang looked helpless, hesitated for a moment, then turned to look at the silver-robed man and the three from the ancient clan. "What are you guys planning? Are you going to find a place to cultivate for 3 years?" Guzhen raised his head and said with a smile, "Do you think it's possible? When we entered the heavenly tomb, Elder Tongxian had already instructed me to protect Sooner. I think this mission was not only given to me." The silver-robed man shrugged his shoulders, then smiled at Xiao Yan and said, "I haven't introduced myself yet. I am Gu Hua, the second commander of the Black Annihilation Army, and I have also received it." The burly man who looked simple also said with a smile, "I am Gu Xing, the third commander of the Black Annihilation Army. Thank you for your help just now." Xiao Yan smiled back and clasped his fist, showing no hostility towards Gu Qingyang and the other three. Especially after the incident with the light curtain, they were even more friendly to Xiao Yan. Gu Qingyang spread his hands and said with a smile, "It seems that everyone has the same mission, so let's act together." Then the crowd no longer spoke. Their figures turned into several rays of light, flying towards the depths of the third level. On that distant and hazy brown land, a faint energy mist drifted gently with the breeze. And in a certain place on this land, a few figures sat around the bonfire. If my speculation is correct, we should have reached the depths of the third level. We must all be careful when we continue to move forward tomorrow. The depths of the third level are the most dangerous areas of the heavenly tomb, Gu Qingyang said with a smile, looking up at the dark depths. Xiao Yan nodded slowly. Since they entered the third level, it has been nearly 3 months. During this period, they have been advancing towards the depths of the heavenly tomb together, but because they encountered some powerful energy bodies on the way, their journey has become quite difficult. With the joint efforts of the few people, they finally broke through. How about I go in by myself for the next part of the road? Xiao Yan said after hesitating for a moment. For the 4 of them, Gu Qingyang, after getting along for this period of time, Xiao Yan has developed some good feelings, so he doesn't want them to fall into danger because of himself. We have come to this point, there is no need to say such discouraging words. As long as everyone is careful, there should not be a big problem, Sooner said softly, looking at Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan nodded helplessly, then stared at the distant and dark place. At the end of it was his goal, and vaguely he felt that the blood in his body seemed to flow faster at this moment. 4 signs of energy bodies were detected in the northwest direction. 3 of them are about the strength of the 8-star Do Zun, and 1 has reached the 9-star level, Xiao Yan said softly after slowly opening his eyes behind a huge rock. Now they have truly broken into the depths of the heavenly tomb. At this point, even with the strength of the 6 of them, they have to be more cautious. Even if they encounter an energy body that can be fought against, they will also consider whether to make a move. Gu Hua and Gu Zhan have also gone to scout, and they should return soon. Gu Qingyang's voice just fell, and 2 figures quickly passed by the ground and quietly appeared beside Xiao Yan and the others, which were Gu Hua and Gu Zhan who went to scout earlier. The energy body activities in the south and west directions are frequent, and we also feel a strong sense of oppression. These 2 directions are absolutely not suitable for choice, Gu Zhan and Gu Hua said after taking a deep breath. The northwest direction also has a very strong pressure. This pressure surpasses the general 9-star level, but there is still a gap from Dosheng, Sooner suddenly added softly. Hearing Sooner's words, Xiao Yan and others all fell silent. Stronger than the 9-star Do Zun, but not as good as Dosheng. It seems to belong to the half Dosheng level. Now it is difficult to break through in 3 directions, but compared to the northwest direction, it seems to be easier, where there are fewer energy bodies, and it is not easy to attract other energy bodies even if there is a battle. If you choose the other 2 directions, once the battle breaks out, we may be trapped, Gu Hua said on the side. Xiao Yan's face showed a thoughtful expression, and after exchanging a glance with Gu Qingyang, he looked towards the northwest direction. It seems that they can only choose this road. Let's go. Try to stay alert and avoid alarming that half-saint level energy body. The pedestrians walked silently through the energy fog for 100 feet and finally stopped. At this moment, the expressions of Xiao Yan and others gradually became serious because they felt a pressure slowly spreading from not far in front of them. Half-saint, everyone be careful, Xiao Yan reminded in a low voice. After moving forward a bit more, they hid in the shadow of a huge rock, squinting their eyes and looking forward. Where his eyes reached, there was a huge stone seat, and on the stone seat sat a figure, with a dark red ghost head great blade in front of him, exuding a strong bloody aura that lingered around the mountain. What a domineering aura! As Xiao Yan and others looked serious, the figure on the huge stone peak suddenly got up, and a bloody smell suddenly increased sharply. The figure looked down at Xiao Yan and the others, and his light voice roared like thunder in everyone's ears. Intruders, from the moment you stepped in here, you should have been clear about the final consequences. Xiao Yan and the others looked at the figure holding the big knife, and the violent aura emanating from this person made people feel deeply afraid. What made Xiao Yan and the others even more uneasy was that this person's eyes were not as empty as other energy bodies. Obviously, he had a certain level of wisdom. A half-saint without wisdom is not to be feared. The truly terrifying one is a half-saint with both wisdom and combat experience. Seeing the figure gently twist his neck, then as if talking to himself, he said, "It seems that I need to introduce myself before I start. My name seems to be the Bloodblade Saint. Have you heard of it?" Faced with the puzzled look of the dark red figure, Xiao Yan and the others couldn't help but twitch at the corners of their mouths. "You have been dead for hundreds of thousands of years, Who knows what you are called? The person said, It seems that no one really remembers. This feeling is really uncomfortable. It's better to end you quickly. My blood knife has been waiting for a long time. Seeing this, the person who claimed to be the blood blade saint shook his head disappointedly. Then his foot trembled slightly. When the blood blade saint's foot trembled, Xiao Yan's face suddenly changed, and a fierce wind burst out from his sleeve, hitting Gu Zhan behind him fiercely. Just as Gu Zhan was shaken and flew away, the place where he had been standing suddenly burst into a blood-colored lightning, cutting through space in an instant, and a deep trench appeared on the ground. This person's speed is really terrifying. The gap between a half-saint and a dozun is so big. Xiao Yan quickly stepped back and quickly joined hands with Sooner, Gu Qingyang and others. Gu Qingyang and Sooner exchanged a glance and rushed out almost at the same time, their hands quickly changing, and they shouted in unison, Earth-shattering seal. Faced with the flying energy seal, the blood blade saint sneered disdainfully, and the ghost head great blade in his hand cut a diagonal slash in the air, tearing apart the two energy seals with one knife. Flame-splitting sea-devouring ruler. Suddenly a figure appeared behind the blood blade saint, and the huge ruler was mercilessly bombarded down fiercely. Faced with the incoming ruler, the blood blade saint waved the ghost head great blade behind him, creating a blood-colored knife flower, and then quickly rotated, tearing the ruler easily. Xiao Yan was also shaken back several steps. At the same time, Gu Hua, Gu Xing, and Gu Zhen followed closely, each displaying a powerful combat skill and attacking the blood blade saint fiercely. Ant-like existence also dares to challenge the dignity of the saint. Faced with the siege of Gu Hua and the other three, the blood blade saint sneered coldly, clenched his left hand into a fist, and suddenly hit out. 3 blood-colored lights instantly formed into 3 roaring blood-colored fierce tigers, colliding fiercely with the 3 people. Hit solidly by the blood blade saint's fist, the 3 people vomited a mouthful of blood and retreated urgently. Let's join hands. Gu Qingyang shouted heavily and quickly rushed forward. Sooner and the others behind him also launched attacks again. Blood blade chaos wind. Seeing the blood blade saint step on the ground, his figure rotated like a blood-red tornado, causing the surrounding space to collapse into a black hole in an instant. The sharp knife energy directly shook Gu Qingyang and the others to fly backward. It's your turn. After shaking off Gu Qingyang and others, the blood blade saint turned his gaze sharply to Xiao Yan, who was looking for an opportunity, and strode towards him with a cold smile. The blood blade saint was extremely fast and appeared in front of Xiao Yan in an instant. Xiao Yan's face changed slightly, and he suddenly shouted in his heart, Skyfire 3 mysterious changes. The first change, the second change, the third change. As the shout fell, Xiao Yan's internal energy surged violently, and the itchy feeling on his forehead appeared again. At this critical moment, he had no time to take care of other things, and the grand heavenly creation palm was brewing quickly in his palm. Just as the ghost head great blade cut through the void, it suddenly stopped abruptly above Xiao Yan's head. The blood blade saint stared at Xiao Yan's forehead, and soon a trace of fear appeared in his eyes. Xiao Clan's clan mark. You are actually a person of the Xiao clan. Aren't the people of the Xiao clan all dead? The blood blade saint muttered to himself, unconsciously glanced into the depths of the heavenly tomb, and a deep fear flashed in his eyes. Gu Qingyang, Sooner, and others also appeared beside Xiao Yan at this time, feeling puzzled about the sudden cessation of the blood blade saint, and whispered, Although he is just an energy body, he still has the wisdom and memory of his lifetime. They are curious about what makes him so afraid. This kid is actually a person of the Xiao clan. With that person's extraordinary ability, he must have sensed it when he entered here. If I kill the younger generation of the Xiao clan, I may not be able to escape that person's pursuit in the future. The blood blade saint's eyes flickered rapidly, the domineering and bloody aura on his body gradually converged, and the ghost head great blade disappeared with a flick of his hand. He took a look at Xiao Yan and others, reluctantly said, Go. This time it's your lucky break. Hearing this, Xiao Yan and others were stunned, looked at each other, and didn't understand why the other party suddenly changed their mind. Go west from here, This gap is the junction of many strong people. If you go from here, you should be able to avoid the obstruction of others and finally reach the place you want to go. The Blood Blade Saint looked at the stunned people impatiently and said, "Thank you, Senior." Xiao Yan and others hurriedly saluted the former respectfully, and then a group of people slowly retreated, quickly turned around and rushed forward. The Blood Blade Saint looked at the rapidly departing group of Xiao Yan and others, curled his mouth, and looked into the depths of the sky and said to himself, "This time you owe me a favor. You should let me go when you come out to clear the field in the future." This guy is really inexplicable. Just now he was full of murderous intent, and in a blink of an eye, he became a good person. A few figures quickly shuttled. Gu Hua looked back and frowned. He seems to have recognized that I am a person of the Xiao clan. Xiao Yan said casually while looking around vigilantly. You have the Xiao clan's clan mark on your forehead every time your aura soars, and he is a top strong man. How could he not recognize it? Gu Qingyang said with a smile. Xiao Yan looked back in a daze. What clan mark do I have? Seeing Xiao Yan's blank look, Gu Qingyang and others also looked puzzled and said, "But your clan mark seems to only appear temporarily and will disappear after a while. You should not have a clan mark, because the clan mark is triggered by the power of the blood, but the power of the Xiao clan's blood is almost exhausted." Xiao Yan frowned. When my aura soars, it is when I perform the Skyfire 3 mysterious changes. But what does this have to do with the Xiao clan's clan mark? Gu Qingyang said, the Blood Blade Saint before was not really afraid of the so-called Xiao clan's clan mark. This thing does not have any energy at all. Xiao Yan thought quickly, so, the reason he let us go must be for another reason, and this reason should be related to the Xiao clan's clan mark. This heavenly tomb is related to the Xiao clan's clan mark and can deter the half-saint level Blood Blade Saint. What exactly is it? It's Xiao Xian. Sooner suddenly said softly. When the voice of Xiao Xian was heard, the faces of the early saints of the Soul clan instantly surged with horror. Sooner suddenly said softly. When these words came out, Xiao Yan was fine, but Gu Qingyang and others exuded a chill from the soles of their feet. Xiao Xian has been dead for many years, and the heavenly tomb is extraordinary. Even a half-saint like the Blood Blade Saint can survive in some way. Can the senior Xiao Xian, who is at the peak of Dosheng, also be preserved in some form? Sooner said slowly, and Gu Qingyang and others turned their gazes to Xiao Yan. Although his face was calm, they could feel that Xiao Yan's emotions had been violently fluctuating in his heart. When we reach our destination, these mysteries should be solved. His figure suddenly accelerated and turned into a blurred shadow, rushing directly into the faint energy fog. On the way that followed, Xiao Yan and his group followed the guidance of the Blood Blade Saint and did not encounter any obstacles. We should have entered the core area of the heavenly tomb now. When they arrived at an area densely covered with rocks, Gu Qingyang looked at the dark and deep depths and said solemnly, "According to our current speed, we should be able to reach the tomb of Xiao Xian recorded in the ancient books soon." Sooner looked at Xiao Yan and said softly, "It has been relatively smooth along the way, thanks to the help of the Blood Blade Saint, but it is indeed dangerous here. We had better set off as soon as possible." Xiao Yan nodded slightly and then urged. Just as they were about to get up and continue, a slight sound of breaking wind came from the front, and then two black figures slowly landed on a huge rock, overlooking everyone from a high position. The faces of Xiao Yan and others suddenly changed, and they looked up sharply at the two figures in the distance, showing a trace of heaviness. "Hunya! Hunli! It turns out to be you two who fled so fast." Gu Hua saw them and did not hesitate to mock. Facing Gu Hua's mockery, Hunya just gave a strange smile, and then he and Hunli slowly retreated. As they retreated, two old men in gray robes with gloomy faces suddenly appeared in front of them like ghosts. Where did these two guys get the Dosheng energy bodies? How could such a strong person assist them? Gu Hua frowned and cursed in a low voice. Gu Zhen stared at the two old men, shook his head after a while and said, "Because they are also people of the Soul clan. Although they have fallen, thanks to the heavenly tomb, the spirit and wisdom of their lifetime have been retained." It seems these two guys came prepared. Gu Qingyang nodded slowly and pondered. "Let's scatter and run later, facing two Doshengs. Even if they are just energy bodies, we are definitely no match." Hearing this, everyone was silent. not expecting to fall into such a predicament caused by these two originally down-and-out people after going through so many difficulties. Has the Xiao clan not been completely annihilated? In the silence of the crowd, the gray-robed old man's gaze lingered on Xiao Yan for a moment and said, "Senior Hundiao, now the Xiao clan no longer exists, but this person has reached the current height by himself. If he is not eradicated, I am afraid the Xiao clan will prosper again one day," Hunya said respectfully. "Has he not relied on the power of the blood?" Hearing this, the old man's eyes flashed with surprise, then nodded. Since that is the case, he should indeed be eliminated. Stop talking, start working. It's too close to the side. Delay will only cause trouble. The other gray-robed old man frowned and said in a deep voice. Hearing this, Hunjiao nodded and slowly stepped forward, and the whole space began to vibrate violently. Gu Qingyang drank lightly. His figure first turned into a stream of light and rushed to the left, and Xiao Yan and others also scattered and fled in different directions. When watching Xiao Yan and others flee in all directions, the other gray-robed old man who had not yet made a move sneered and waved his hand, and all sounds and time within 100 feet suddenly stopped, and the figures of Xiao Yan and others rushing were also instantly frozen, their eyes full of shock. Is this the power of the Do Sheng Strong? You can control a side of heaven and earth at will, and time and space are in its grasp to transform at will. Suddenly, in the solidified space, an extremely hot golden flame suddenly erupted, and at the same time, a dark purple-brown flame suddenly burst out, and its terrifying temperature quickly spread. The internal energy in the bodies of Gu Qingyang and others also operated fiercely, and they worked together to break free from the constraints. But this time they did not choose to flee in all directions, but to regroup. After the previous exchange, they had clearly realized that for these two Do Sheng strong men, scattered escape could not constitute any obstacles, but would weaken their resistance. Seeing that Xiao Yan and the others could break free from the solidified space by their own strength, a trace of surprise flashed through the eyes of the two gray-robed old men. It is indeed a bit of ability, but it is far from enough. Hunjiao sneered and opened his mouth to spit, and then the rolling black clouds burst out from his mouth, and soon condensed into a huge black python that was thousands of feet long, and then attacked Xiao Yan and the others. Such a terrifying attack immediately made everyone feel a strong sense of crisis. Hearing Gu Qingyang's low drink, everyone nodded. Grand Heavenly Creation Palm. Just as Xiao Yan performed the Heaven-class combat skill, Suner and Gu Qingyang and others also performed the same combat skill, which was the annihilation finger used by the ancient demon. The terrifying sound of the collision echoed between heaven and earth, and a strong energy storm immediately swept out from the point of contact. In the energy storm, a huge black shadow suddenly rushed out, and then fiercely slapped towards Xiao Yan and the others. A closer look revealed that it was the dark tail of the python, which was full of scars but obviously not destroyed by Xiao Yan and the others. Feeling the huge power contained in the tail, the faces of Xiao Yan and the others also turned pale. They didn't expect that the joint performance of the Heaven-class combat skill by the crowd still couldn't block this blow. Xiao Yan said, "Let's fight it out." Just as Xiao Yan and the others were preparing to take a desperate gamble, a figure suddenly appeared in the distant space, and a soft force carried them and rushed towards the depths of the heavenly tomb like lightning. Blood Blade Saint. The sudden rescue made Xiao Yan and the others stunned, and then they looked at the person who made the move. No one expected that the Blood Blade Saint would suddenly take action to save them. Where did these guys come from, and kill them here? If they are discovered by Xiao Xian, they will definitely be bloodbathed again. The Blood Blade Saint ignored Xiao Yan and the others, and cursed with a gloomy face while rushing forward. A mere half-saint dares to be presumptuous in front of us. The sudden change surprised Hunjiao and the other two slightly, and then they shouted angrily, "Lock?" With the roar of the two, the figure of the Blood Blade Saint suddenly solidified, and a look of fear also surged on his face at this moment. The two Do Sheng strong men are indeed far from what he can compare with. With this ability, you dare to meddle. Hunjiao sneered contemptuously, and his palms curved slightly and hit his chest fiercely. However, when the wind of Hunjiao's fist was only half a foot away from the Blood Blade Saint, it suddenly solidified. The faces of Hun Diao and the other two changed suddenly, and they exclaimed, "Who is it?" The faces of Hun Diao and the other two changed suddenly. It seems that there are still remnants of the Soul Clan in the heavenly tomb. A voice full of ancient breath slowly echoed in the space, and when this voice sounded, the space frozen by Hun Diao and the other two was also instantly released. When they heard this voice, the faces of Hun Diao and the other two instantly became extremely ugly. There are still strong people of the Soul Clan left in the heavenly tomb, which is undoubtedly a huge threat. The emergence of this voice also indicates that a more intense battle is about to unfold.